Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Bustier, and in today's video we're going to be drafting the pattern for the making of this princess dart bustier with a built-up neckline and an upside down sweetheart neckline. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely keep on watching and hit on the subscribe button if you're still here to subscribe. Alright guys, I've drafted out some part of this and I'm going to go ahead and explain this right now. Now, because this is going to be a built-up neckline, before I drew my shoulder line, I came down by about 2.5 inches from the top of my pattern paper here. So after coming down, I drew my shoulder line, and then from shoulder line, I had my chest line, bust line, under bust, waist, and then hemline for this blouse. I went ahead to draw out my armhole as well, but I did not draw out any neckline because this is going to be built up. Okay, I needed the neck width measurement for me to be able to get my shoulder slope here. So what I did is from the center of my fold, I came in by 3 inches, made a point, and from there I was able to get my shoulder slope. So my neck width is 3 inches. Now we'll go ahead and draw out the neckline. First thing you will need to do is to go in by 1/4 inch from this point here where you got your shoulder slope from. So I'll go in here by 1/4 inch. Okay, now from this same point here towards the shoulder slope, I'm going to go ahead and mark 1 inch. Okay, I'll mark 1 inch here into the shoulder slope. Now once you're through with that, the next thing you want to do is to determine the height of your neckline. So from that 1/4 inch that I went in by earlier, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch. That's going to be the height of my neckline. Okay, so I'll connect a straight line from this point here all the way to that 1.5 inch point that I got earlier. So once that is done, what I need to do now is to create a curve to connect from the top of this 1.5 inch line to meet that 1 inch I went in by on the shoulder slope. Now this is very easy. Okay, this is the front pattern. So I will be using my curve now to try and connect a curve that will meet nicely from this 1.5 inch that I have going up to meet the 1 inch that I have on the shoulder. So I've created a little curve here, as you can see, and now I'll use my ruler to make it more visible. Now I'll also use my ruler and marker to make this shoulder more visible as well, so you can see what our neckline is looking like right now. So now once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is to determine the curve for the neckline and what type of neckline you want. Let's say, for example, you want yours to have like a V-shaped neckline. From your normal shoulder measurement that you had, which is this line here, the normal shoulder line, come down by how deep you want your neckline to be. So for me, I came down by about 6 inches, and from this top here, I'm going to connect like a curve if I wanted like something like a V-shaped neckline. Let's say, for example, you want a V-shaped neckline like this one on the screen right now. This is how you will go about it. So from this point, you just curve your rule like this and then connect to the neck depth that you got, which for me was 6 inches. So something like this is exactly what will give you the neckline you see on the screen right now. This particular style is very popular, so I thought to just explain this neckline as well. But this is not what this class is about, right? Now, for this particular class, we have an upside down sweetheart neckline. Now, this is very tricky, but it's very simple as well. If you understand how to draw basic things like a sweetheart, round, and all of that, you should be able to do this. So from my shoulder as well, the shoulder line, notice where I always put my tape to get my neck depth. I'm just bringing in my picture just to be sure. So for the neck depth, I came down by 5 inches here. This is where I will connect my sweetheart neckline from. Remember, this neckline is going to be upside down. And I really do not have a curve that would do an upside down sweetheart for me right now. So what I would do is I will have to use my free hand. I tried placing my curve, but it didn't work. So I'm using my free hand. So from here, I'm creating a sweetheart neckline. Okay, I'm creating a heart shape, but it will meet the neckline. This might be quite tricky for a lot of you guys who are not very good with drawing, like I am, at least to an extent. I'm a bit good with things like this. So I am drawing it, as you can see, towards the neckline, as you can see. So I already have the shape right now. I just try to check the phone to make sure that I was on track, and I remember that the neckline came in a little bit wider at the top here. So I'm just using my pencil, you can see, to just first of all trace out something before I will check to see if this is okay before I use my marker to draw this out. So I already have the shape. This, when I open it up, will give me a sweetheart neckline, as you can see, an upside down sweetheart neckline. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead now and use my curve to make it more visible. Now, because I've already drawn out the skeleton for the sweetheart neckline, I can now use my curve to follow all the lines that I've gotten earlier. Okay, so I'll place my curve from the top, and I'll just use it to curve like you see me doing, like this, following the shape that I've created for my neckline. So this is how to go about drawing this particular neckline. If you've done it like this, when you cut it out, it's going to give you an upside down sweetheart neckline with a built-up effect. Okay, so I'm done with this now, and I'm going to go ahead and draft out the princess dart bustier area of this front pattern. So I'm going to start by marking half of my nipple to nipple measurement here on the bust line, on the waistline, and also on the hemline. And then I will go ahead and connect all 3 points with a straight ruler. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to take my underbust tightening, and for this I'm going to be using 2 inches. Now you can use more than 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches, depending on how busty the person you're working with is. Okay, the more busty the person is, the more inches you will need to take underneath here. So for this I'm using 2 inches, and out of that 2 inches, I will give half an inch to the part going towards the center part of my pattern paper, the part going towards my center fold. And this should be marked on your under bust line and your hemline. It should be connected from your under bust line to the hemline. You can see where I placed the little hand there. That's where it should start from. I made a little mistake here, starting my line from the bust line instead of from the under bust line. So the remaining 1.5 inch, I'm going to mark it here. I'll mark it on the under bust line here and also on the hemline. Now this will be marked towards the side of your pattern paper. So please note that this mark that I have here above the under bust line to the bust line is not supposed to be part of it. It's not supposed to be there. That was a mistake. Okay, so it should be from the under bust down to the hemline. So now from here, that's where you should have these lines. Now from the under bust, I'm going to connect curves that meet the bust point. Just watch what I'm doing and do exactly the same thing. So from here, I'll connect a curve that meets the bust point, and from the under bust on this other side as well, I'll connect a curve that meets the bust point. Okay, so please remember this mistake here is not part of it. The line is supposed to stop at the under bust line. I just have to stress this a lot because I really do not want you guys to make a mistake there. Okay, so now once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is you're going to come to the armhole area here, and you're going to divide what you have on your armhole into 2 equal halves. So I'm going ahead to measure around, as you can see, and I'm just going to mark the midpoint on the armhole curve, as you can see. Now once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is you're going to connect from here to the bust point, and before I do that, I will extend the bust point by about half an inch. So I'll extend the bust point here by half an inch, and I'm just going to take my curve up a bit to meet that half an inch point like this, just a straight ruler, a straight line here. So from this point, we're going to connect a curve that meets the midpoint that we got on our armhole. Just watch how I'm going about this. Okay, you can see I'm trying to place my curve in the best way possible So from here, I'll connect a curve that meets this to get my princess that bustier shape. Okay, so now once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is you're going to go out by 1/2 inch on both sides of this line on the armhole area. Now from these 1/2 inch points that we went out by on both sides, we're going to use this to connect darts that will meet the bust point. So watch how I'm placing my ruler as well. From the 1/2 inch that I came out by on both sides, let's start with the top. I'm going to connect all the way to meet the bust point, that 1/2 inch we came up by earlier, just like this. And then I'll do the same thing for the other side as well. You can see how I'm doing it to make sure it looks neat. So now I've taken my dart on the armhole area for this princess dart bustier. Now from the bottom dart leg, I'm going to extend a line from the bottom dart leg to make up for the dart that we have taken here, so that when we are done and when you sew this together, it doesn't become shorter. Okay, so from the bottom dart leg here, I will extend my line by 1 inch because the dart that we took, if you measure, it is 1 inch. So I've extended it out here, as you can see, 1 inch. Okay, and now you're going to come down to the armhole area as well. Where this armhole ended, you're going to extend it by 1 inch as well. Now this is going to prevent your armhole from becoming shorter by the time you're done drafting everything and you're trying to join the front and the back armhole together. So I extended my armhole at the chest line here by 1 inch, and I now used it to create a new curve, as you can see. So now we are no longer following this old curve. The new one we just created is what we'll be using now. So I'll just make this part more visible with my marker as well, since every other side has been drawn out with marker. So you can see what we are working with now. We're done with the neckline and the princess dart bustier. So now we're going to add our body measurement. On the chest line here, we already marked our bust measurement divided by 4 and then extended our armhole. So from this new armhole, I'll add stitching allowance of 1.5 inch. Now on the waist, we'll mark our waist measurement divided by 4. I'll mark it here. But we have a big dart here that needs to be replaced. It's 2 inches. And from the point I just made, I replaced the 2 inches. And then I'm adding an extra about 1.5 inch for stitching allowance. So from here to here is your waist. And then measure your dart and replace it before you add your allowance. We'll do the same thing on the hip line. Hip measurement divided by 4. Then you have to measure this dart and replace it back from that point, 2 inches. And then I'll add my 1.5 inch for stitching allowance. So now I'll join all these last points together to give me the body shape for this. So now I'm done connecting the sides, and this is what I have. Now what I want to do is on this side of the blouse, I want to come up by about 1 inch and just connect it back into the bodice to just give it like a little shape on the side instead of it to just be looking straight when we're done with this. So this area is going to be cut off. This will be cut off as well, and this area as well will be cut off. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut off this front pattern. Please pay attention to the areas that I'm cutting out and try to follow as well.
It feels like an angel straight from heaven, just like my lucky number 7. You're my shooting star. We're running around in circles. Love feels so invincible.
So guys, this is what it looks like after I was done drafting out the front pattern, and you can see what our neckline is looking like. So now let's go ahead and draft out the back pattern. For the back pattern, I've drawn out a basic back bodice. I've drawn out my darts and everything. I've even gone ahead to come up by 1 inch here to connect the side curve. The only thing that I'm yet to do on this back is to draw out the built-up neckline. And for this, it is very simple, just like we did on the front pattern. From the neck width here, I will go up by 1.5 inch. That was exactly what we came up by on the front pattern. That is the height of our collar. Okay, so I will mark this up to meet the armhole area. All right, so now once you're through with this, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to also mark the same 1.5 inch on the center back here, and I'll just connect these two together. As you can see, when you're placing your curve, always make sure that it's placed in a way that it looks really nice when you're done. Okay, I didn't want the curve to start exactly from the edge, so I came in a little bit and then connected it like this. So now we're not going to be leaving this neckline up like this. We need to curve it a little bit here as well, just like we did on the front pattern. I can decide to measure 1 inch in again, or you can just go ahead and use your curve to just create a curve. This you can do with your free hand, but I like to use this part of my curve because it gives a really beautiful shape. So you can see I've created a curve there so that it fits the front pattern, and I'm extending it up, and then I'll just use my marker to make it more visible here on the shoulder area, and this is what I have for the back pattern. So remember, the height of our collar at the back and front was 1.5 inches. So now I'm done with the neckline, and I have to check whether the front and the back neckline actually aligns. And checking it, I see that it's almost the same thing here and here, and I decided, okay, let me measure just to be sure. So I'm placing my tape, I'm measuring the curves, as you can see. So it has to be exactly the same thing. If you measure and one is longer or shorter than the other, go ahead to actually increase the one that is shorter to make it as long as the other one. Okay, so now the front and the back are actually the same, so I am okay with this. I don't need to extend any shoulder to be able to get it to be the same thing. So now when you're cutting on your fabric, you can decide to add zipper allowance to the center back. As you can see on this pattern, I didn't add any zipper allowance, so when cutting on fabric, you guys will see that I will add that. But on this waist area here, I came in by 1/2 inch to eliminate any form of bulge that might happen later when we fix our zipper. So I'm going to connect from this 1/2 inch up like this nicely, and then connect down as well nicely, just like you see here. So now I'll go ahead and cut off this area. This area will be stitched, this will be cut off as well. So I'll go ahead now and cut off my back pattern. Look at the areas I'm cutting off so that you can do exactly the same thing. So now we're done drafting out our back neckline. I am going to just label this area allowance, because we need to add our zipper allowance to this side, and then this part I need to add allowances as well, as I have not added it to this back pattern. So here and here I needed to label that because allowance was already added to the front, so I don't make a mistake. So this is the front pattern and the back pattern. This is what it looks like. In the next video, you guys are going to be seeing how we transfer these on fabrics, and we're going to go ahead and sew all of the pieces together. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. I hope you find it helpful, and I will definitely be seeing you guys in my next one. If you're still here to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe.